What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's go.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left, beat left.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah. What the fuck are you talking about?
Folks, Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Welcome in, my family. This is Monday Morning Quarterback, only on A2D Radio. Every Monday, we are brought to you by the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. We know many of us and our families deal with mental health and addiction issues. We are happy to support the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. If you need any help, please call 856-651-8117. Tom Arnone, Ryan Brodo, the family out there joining us. We got a ton to talk about. How bad are the Phillies? Is this inconsistent team going to change at all? Or is this what we're going to have? Are we going to have an 81-81 team? That's what Vegas had us around. Is that going to come to fruition? Because that's what it looks like. All right, and last night, we'll talk about it. Some really bad things happened in that baseball game that I'm not happy with and really shows a bad look. Sixers, Bulls preview. They play at 9 tonight in Chicago. Back-to-back for the Sixers. They're a 6-point. They're a 6-point favorite on the road. It's a tough game. It's a game you got to figure out a way to win. We'll dissect it, break it down, and they go back and fly back down to Texas to go to Houston. So weird scheduling, really weird scheduling. They were just 45 minutes away from Houston. So why not back-to-back Houston, then go there? But I don't know. Some things are just too easy. We'll discuss Sixers in a little bit. NFL draft winners and losers. And there's some teams that I've noticed, like one team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, a lot of people have them like drafted really bad. Their grades really bad. And I'm just confused on the people that have zero feel. Right. I just need to know about those people because it's just mind-boggling. Like, why? Like, did we watch the same draft? Like, what? Because their picks were higher? And it's like, well, he's supposed to be good, so I'm not going to grade you well because he's supposed to be. What does that even mean? I don't understand any of that. So we'll do winners and losers of the NFL draft. Eagles draft breakdown. Let's break down all the picks. We'll dissect them, talk about them again because it's fun. And we'll break down this roster a little bit and see where these picks fit in. Because, we know what this roster is. So we're going to need 4 or 5 of these picks to fit in somewhere. So we'll go into it. But everything ties into our poll question. Brought to you by bodycheckwellness.com. Use promo code A2D. Get yourself 20% off at checkout. It's bodycheckwellness.com. And our poll question, Philadelphia Eagles fans should not be happy with what the team did during the NFL draft. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. That's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Pound that like, pound that subscribe. Join the conversation. I see tons of people already chiming in. Matt, Marquise, Brian, Don, Ricky, Slipknot, Pete, Andy, Robert, California, a.k.a. Eagles. Everybody's already in here. You got people flying in, so comment in. Let us know. Agree or disagree. And you know what? I hate Howie Roseman. I despise Howie Roseman. And I have a big-time agenda when it comes to Howie Roseman anymore. And Jeffrey Lurie. But, I can't burn the NovaCare down. When there was talks, let's just lead. Let's just go backwards for a second, right? Because I did a million shows talking draft here, like a lot of guys did. And every draft, there'd be quarterback names brought up with the first pick and all kinds of other things, right? Especially when it came to quarterback or trading back and getting a defensive end, right? There's so many things that we talked about and dissect that could have happened and that were rumored to happen. None of that happened. And I hate Howie Roseman. And I was like, oh, would he go Justin Fields? Like, oh my God, here we go. When we traded up, we were all nervous. Well, guess what? We got the one guy that we all wanted. Now, if you go on with the draft, I understand. But after the third round and on, it's like you want starters and their names that are like, right? But like Landon Dickerson, I love, and it's the big question on health. But I'm gonna read you something from Nick Saban, okay? Which I think is so important when you talk about where this football team is and what they're trying to get to. All right, and Saban said, well, let me find it again. It was quick, of course. Of course, it's not loaded. But he's as nasty as they come. But he called him the best leader they've ever had, and he's just a culture builder. And that matters from a program like that. That matters from a guy like Nick Saban. So now the injuries, it's not a good look. But we passed on guys who've been banged up before. They end up being good, who had failed their medicals. Mm-hmm. And then the rumor comes out that Joker just got cleared by doctors, and it was like false reports that were put out and cost the guy millions of dollars and drops to 52 to the Browns.
Wow.
Okay, so, there's that. But at the end of the day, the reason that I disagree, let me make sure I'm just saying the right thing here. I want to make sure I'm right there. The reason I disagree with it so much, it's a little tricky. It's like, you throw the knot in, right? We throw the knot in, it's tricky, blah, 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 blah. But whatever. The reason I disagree, freaking that. The reason I disagree, I feel like how
Miyagi.
Got him. No. The reason I disagree is because that's the guy I wanted, right? Like we talked about a lot of names and a lot of guys and a lot of bad picks that could have happened. Guys like Quiddy Pay, are we drafting Quiddy Pay? Really? Like at 12? What are we doing? And then we trade up, everybody thinking, oh my God, is it a quarterback? Don't do this to us again. Don't put us through it again. And what do? They draft the guy that we all wanted. Now, people could say like success, not success. I look at it as like I heard today, people saying, well, the success comes with like a lot of these guys being starters. And I get that. Right? But success also comes by if you nail a pick, if you nail one, where you're talking about a perennial all-pro and a guy who potential gold jacket talk. If you nail it, right? That would be success. We would look back and say, well, you know what? The rest of that draft wasn't good, but man, we nailed the first rounder, which is still like a 50% chance of missing, right? And it only goes down from there. It only goes down. Position by positions are all different, but it only goes down from there. And we talk about linebacker, first and second round are your real big hit rates, and third round, and after that, it's like whatever. Good luck finding starters, right? So there's question marks. Like Milton, like I don't know. I mean, he's going to get snaps. He's going to play. If you look at our depth chart, he has to play.
Yeah, he's the third. He's behind. It's Hargrave, Fletcher, and then him.
Yeah, he's going to play. He's going to get snaps. So it's like, okay, yeah, we need a linebacker to get snaps too, but there's also nobody back there. Ridgeway? Is Ridgeway? Yeah, let me make sure So there. Yep. I was looking at it earlier. Yeah, Ridgeway. Like, that's it. Hassan Ridgeway is where we're going to go to. That's it. So you need somebody there too. So, like, I don't even mind that pick if he can play. Right? He's at 19 tackles for losses. So, obviously, he creates havoc in the backfield a little bit. So, I'll take my chances of hopefully he can play because that's a position they do a decent job of, right? So, hopefully he can play. They looked excited about the pick. At least most of the room did. Besides Tommy. Tommy didn't look happy, but the rest of the room was extremely excited about the pick. So, I don't know. And Landon Dickerson, like I said it on numerous shows, like I'm not going to argue the fact that guys backed up all the time and it's not a good look. But if for some reason that body can stay healthy for 6 to 8 years, that's a great pick. And it'll be looked at as a great pick. And sometimes the picks after on that we want don't always pan out. And some of the picks that were like, oh my God, what are you doing? End up panning out. Like, I don't know. Nobody has the crystal ball of it panning out. But in terms of leadership, in terms of culture builder, in terms of what you're trying to establish here, your center, not this year, but your center moving forward and your quarterback maybe moving forward are both Bama guys. And you draft the wide receiver from Bama. I preach it all the time about Bama. And you got a young head coach. You need guys that are like used to a pro environment. having to compete every day. They're the guys you want when you're trying to rebuild a football team. And not saying other guys aren't those guys. I'm just saying I love these first two round picks. And the third round pick, I don't know. And I like Gainwell as not a different change of pace, but just an explosive weapon to have on your offense. So I'm not going to turn that down right in the 5th round. So I don't think he's Donnell Pumphrey. Memphis puts out good running backs, so I'll take my chances there, especially in the 5th round. So like I don't have this big problem. People are freaking out. Like I hate Howie Roseman. Despise him. I think he's terrible at the draft. But he drafted a guy that I said we put on a gold jacket one day. I never said it doesn't matter. All right. I said that you don't know. I said you don't know. You don't know as much. You know, 3rd round and on, it's like you might know a player, but it doesn't mean he's going to be a hit. All right. There's misses too. I'm saying the 1st and 2nd round are your money rounds. They're your money rounds. That's why you pay a lot of money for them. I'm not saying you can miss everywhere else, but if you're constantly hitting your 1st and 2nd round picks, guess what? Who's fucking complaining? Who's complaining? If DeVonta Smith is a hit and Landon Dickerson plays 8 years, this is a great draft. It's a lot of ifs, but that's every team. You know, it's every team. And you get a 1st round pick out of it for next year to continue to build to this roster. And you have last year's picks that need to play. Reagor, Ertz, Davion Taylor, right? All them guys need to play to see what they are. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just think people need to calm down. Like, you can't judge it. We got the most, in my opinion, a lot of people's opinion, the best wide receiver in this draft. We've clamored for a 1,000-yard wide receiver. We've sit here and begged for one. We haven't had one. We had practice squad freaking guys, right? All right, and we got the guy. We got the guy that had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons at Alabama. All right, 23 touchdowns last year. I think he had 16 the year before, right? I mean, you can't find the end zone enough. So he did 2 monster years playing against the best and the Heisman Trophy winner. And what do we finally maybe got our guy.
It's true.
So, I don't know. I mean, that's my rant on it. I through all the bells and whistles there, but that's my goddamn rant on it. And we'll answer to people's questions as well. But I'm mad. I'm mad because like people are like upset, and this draft could have went so many fucked up ways, which one would have got me arrested. All right. And the fact that it went like, okay, it went missionary after the 1st round, essentially, and maybe the 2nd round pick, depending on how you look at it. All right. But like, I mean, Jesus, we just look for things to complain about. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
That is I mean, I look at it, and with what you just said, we can retire this image, or at least for right now, until we have another, like, maybe the Sixers do something that'll get you, you know what I'm saying? Like, but right now, this image goes away, goes into storage. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a plus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But honestly, like, I want to say before I even get to the poll, I completely agree with you. People that were coming out of the draft, people were coming out of the 1st round and the 2nd round that either had this draft graded as an A+ or an F-, go to hell to bed, please. Because really, you're not going to, if you're like on the either extreme side, you're not going to know for at least 12 months. Like, you're not going to know what truly happened with this draft until this time next year. We're still trying to figure out what happened with drafts from 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're still trying to figure out who certain players are.
Some teams don't have that issue, right?
Oh, damn right. But
if you get, like, we talked about it numerous times, if you get the guy that I had, a lot of guys had top 5 talent in this draft, and you got a 1st round pick and still got him, what the hell are we complaining about right now? Like, that guy's a home run. So we feel good. Last year we had Jalen Reagor. We did the freaking Jalen Reagor, the freaking gadget toy, and hopefully he has a big year, because we have another weapon. And we drafted a freaking quarterback when we just signed our franchise quarterback, and a linebacker nobody heard of. So, it could be worse.
No, it could be way worse. And we talked about it, was on our live show during the 2nd round. And this was after, obviously, both of the picks that they made at 37 and 70, or 73 after they traded back a couple times, was like, we could be disappointed about it. And like, I'll get to it. Like, I'll just say, and I'll tell you why in a second, but like, I agree to the poll. I truly do. But I also have to remember, well, where were we a year ago after last year's draft? How were we feeling then? Peak confusion, absolute peak anger. I'm not feeling that way today. Like, And the reason why I agreed to the poll and why I understand if people were disappointed or pissed with some of the moves the Eagles made, I'll start out with the first pick. You're never going to hear me complain about that pick. So, like, that is not even a part of the equation for me. We should all know, we all know how we feel about the draft pick, given how we talked about it before the draft, and obviously our reaction during the draft to when we traded up and got DeVonta. So, by no means, I have zero issues with that pick. That was the second guy on our board. That was the second guy on my board. And it's not even like they took DeVonta over the guy we wanted, because anybody we wanted over DeVonta was already gone. And we knew they weren't taking Parsons. You know what I'm saying? The best case scenario.
Yep. If you don't count.
Yeah. Like the best case scenario realistically happens in round one of the draft for the Eagles. In my opinion, I would say 99% of Eagles fans' opinion also.
And you got a first next year. We can't forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can't just overlook that, right? We have to factor that in. Like, okay, we got the guy we wanted at our skill position that we've been begging for years, right?
Mm-hmm. And and JJ, we'll definitely do that, brother. We'll definitely compare Eagles and Cowboys. I had some stuff for the entire NFC, so we'll definitely do that for you. But then I get to Landon Dickerson, right? And we talked about it on draft night. I love the kid. The draft call made me want to run through a friggin' brick wall. Like I have no issues about him as a player. But I also have to talk about, my stance on Caleb Farley. And I know they're two separate positions. It's an offensive lineman and a cornerback. But my stance was very, very firm on Caleb Farley, that because of the injury history, I didn't want to touch Caleb Farley in the first round or at pick 37. I wasn't touching him because of the stance that I always took, which was if you have major injury concerns in college and when you're younger, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get healthier as you get older. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're injury ridden once, that's kind of just going to be your thing. So I can't just act like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to put this stance on Caleb Farley, but then I'm just going to bypass all of that with Dickerson. But I understand what they're doing with Dickerson. And I will remind everyone's saying, oh, well, why do you need a Jason Kelce replacement today? Well, I'll remind everyone, and the head coaches and Howie Roseman and those guys talked about it. Nick Saban's talked about it. Who says that he's the Jason Kelce replacement? You could be looking at Brandon Brooks' replacement. You could be. He could play guard. And if everything is true about them trying to shop Brandon Brooks,
maybe you can get a cornerback for Brandon Brooks.
Yeah.
Maybe that's your corner that we're yelling and screaming for to play the outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's that. The Dickerson thing doesn't bother me at all because it's, to me, the reward could be great. The reward could be great. And I understand about the Caleb Farley comparison, and Caleb Farley's the back and like a 20% chance, factual, that you got to go back in, right? Mm-hmm. So that's now you're telling me, you're guaranteeing me something. You're giving me odds. Odds for him don't look good. But I'll tell you this though. Every time he's got hurt, he's came back and still been a great player. So it's not like he's got hurt and came back and became a shell of himself.
Yeah, he hasn't lost a step. He doesn't look like he's missed any time when he's came back.
No, that's the only positive you can take from his injury history. And you got to hope when you get a lot of money, right, and you get better trainers, that maybe you can avoid some of those things,
mm-hmm.
right? It's not a guarantee, but hopefully you can avoid some of the things. Backs, I stay away from. Backs. Nope, I got no time for a back, right? But when we talk about ACLs and shit, I don't know, dude, everybody's getting them. What am I never going to think anybody's ever had ACL? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or 2 of them, everybody gets them. So you just got to hope that a guy can go. Adrian Peterson had a ton of them, and he's came back and it's still going, right? He's still going. So the point is guys can go 5 years without getting another one. There's that chance that you go 5 years before another ACL. And if that's the case, this is a home run pick because he's a road grader in terms of running the football and a great pass blocker and a leader. And I said it before. Now we got 100 and some people watching live now. Hit that subscribe. But what we talked about, what Saban said, right? Nasty as they come, and he called him the best leader they've ever had, and he's just a culture builder. And I think that's important.
And they're following the mold too. I mean, and I'm not. We were talking about this before Howie Roseman went on to his second day press conference talking about, oh well, I'm sure people were sick and tired of hearing the Philadelphia Eagles draft linemen. We were talking about it on our show on Friday night. Like, you're getting back to your roots. You are. So you're not going to hear me complain about the first pick. And while I am extremely nervous about Landon, you're not going to hear me say a peep about him as a player. The biggest thing that I am concerned with, and the biggest kind of factor which makes me agree with this poll, and a big reason is because it's almost like I'm asking for help from the fan base, because maybe I'm overlooking this. Maybe I'm overreacting to this. But I'm bothered by something that we still are kind of getting stuck in. And I'm not even going to do what people are thinking I'm going to do, and that's talk about the linebacking core. Because I can get, honestly, as much as I don't like it, I can understand what their mindset is. We have Singleton, who showed, hey, he's a bona fide NFL player. You got Eric Wilson, who fits the Gannon's whole system. And then you still want to have development, and you want to still have, I would say, stock in Davion Taylor, who you used a third-round asset on.
And you have TJ Edwards, and you have Sean Bradley that you just drafted, and you have Jannard Avery. Like, I'm not saying them guys are good players, right? I'm just reading off all the names. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but to your point, and like you said, we understand what they're doing. They're valuing, hey, we're going to go with the quote-unquote process. I hate using that word, but the process with these players. We're going to play the long-term game with these guys, especially in a position where they don't need to say it. We know it. They don't value it that much. So
they won't. They get burned this year by it, though, and they have 2 first-round picks or 3. Then they'll value it. You know what I'm saying? Like, then they'll value it because they have 3 first-round picks. Then I could see them being like, okay, because we can get all the other little things we want, and we value that we can take one, right? But go ahead, get to what are you going to say? Cornerback?
It's cornerback.
Well, this is. I'm going to stop you because I just think you're overreacting. I just think everybody's overreacting because we didn't get like a Asante Samuel Jr. or like one of these certain guys that we really wanted, or even guys in the 3rd round that we really wanted. And I understand that. I get that side of things. And I'm going to say the same thing I just said about the linebacker position when it comes to corner. There's a chance you have 3 first-round picks and a 2nd, and you could even have more than that. Who even knows? If other guys aren't shipped and moved and et cetera, right? So that's just right now. Mm-hmm. And right now, I would assume that we would get a top 3 to 5 corner on the board next year, right? I would assume that because you're not going to run it out there again. They're trying to rebuild a football team, right? And I'm not guaranteeing it, but you have a better chance of them going corner next year than we do linebacker. We can all guarantee that.
Yeah, I completely.
There's one spot on this defense, right? It's it. It's like I understand it. You're getting emotional. You're getting in your feelings because, and I get it. And I understand it, right? You're getting your feelings because that's like the one position that doesn't have a player that's not like, what the fuck are we doing?
It's not only that. It's the one player where we were talking about for months. It can't be ignored.
But the reason they ignored it is because it's simple. They were on the phone with Denver trying to get up to 9. Denver said no. All right. Denver stayed. So to me, that was either going up to 9 for 2 guys. It was either go up to 9 for Surtain or go up to 9 for Smith. It was one of them 2 guys because that's the 2 guys they've been pretty much linked to this entire time. And I think once they didn't get him, they probably didn't value the other guys as high as other players. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's probably what their evaluation was. And I'm fine with it. Like if you're not getting the guy you want, and Patrick Surtain's the guy you want, or DeVonta Smith, and you end up saying, okay, they took Surtain, fine, and we're going to go take Smith then before the Giants do. And you hop them then, right? So, like, I'm okay with it knowing what I have next year. And knowing that June 1st, there's going to be guys cut, right, that are looking for little 1-year deals that are going to be able to be a Band-Aid for a year.
Yes.
And you can find it again. But I have every criticism with the defensive backfield here for years now, okay? For years. And this is why we got Darius Slay to try to shore it up a little bit. But you can't just leave him all by himself. You have to go get other players. And I would like the guy McPherson in the slot with Avonte Maddox and then another veteran on the outside. And I think you're going to see a veteran of some sort just to calm you down. I'm just calming you down. You'll see a veteran of some sort out there. Is it the guy we necessarily want? I want to sign the Samuel Jr. too, right? Or Joker. But Landon Dickerson, I'm not going to be mad about. I'm not going to be mad about until he starts getting hurt at this level all the time. And then once he does, then I'll yell and scream about the pick.
That's the funny thing too. It's like I wasn't even dead. It's not even that I was dead set on a player. Like the only guy I was dead set on this entire draft was Surtain, honestly. And obviously, I can live with them taking Smith, not even instead of Surtain, because Surtain was gone by the time we even were able to pick. And I do agree with you. We talked about it on draft night. Everything in the world tells me, hey, they tried to move up to 9. They couldn't do it. So then they're like, okay, let's trade up to 10 to get our next best guy. So I completely buy into that. So it's not even like my criticism and my problem is not like, oh, they took Landon Dickerson instead of Asante Samuel, or they took Milton Williams instead of, Afitu Melifanu. It's not even about like them taking one guy instead of the other. It's that, and maybe this is where I ask the fan for help, and like this is where I'm bothered because maybe we got so stuck, and maybe me at the top of the list got so stuck into fight fire with water, and like we got so into, like I was saying, okay, come out of this draft with 3 cornerbacks. I don't give a damn. Like if there was a year and a position to like double dip or triple dip into a freaking position group, it was this year with the cornerbacks.
Yeah, next year too, though. I mean, there's a lot of good ones still. There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, and that's what I can.
You can't do that because we could have the Dolphins. We have the Dolphins pick next year, right? Okay.
Yes. We have the Colts
and our own, right? And then and possibly a Colts first. So there's a chance that us or the Dolphins could stink. Like if Tua stinks, they stink.
I think there's a very good chance of that. Yeah.
If Ertz stinks, we stink. So either way, the kid from LSU is going to be there, and they would have no problem taking him. Like I can tell you that they would have no problem taking him, knowing that they had 2 other first-round picks or another first and 2 seconds. Like they would have no problem doing it. They want it because Slay's going coming up on the end of his contract, and they're gonna feel like they need that number 1 corner. Like they will always try to get that number 1 corner. They always have. They always will. That's all I'm saying about it. Like they always have and they always will. I'm just giving them a pass this year because for me it was Surtain or bust in terms of the cornerback. That was me. The rest of the guys were guys. I didn't hate them. I didn't love them. That's
true. You, unless like I specifically asked you about a certain player, you never really went out of your way to talk about anybody else but Surtain. So that, to your point, that's 100% spot on.
And I'm hoping they think like I think because they took DeVonta Smith. So I'm hoping like, are you guys thinking like I think for 5 seconds?
Well, I think I can understand what they're doing. They're saying, okay, and this goes right back to the original press conference right after they fired Doug Peterson, even though Doug Peterson fired them, but that's semantics. It's that they're going with the long-term process, right? Howie Roseman set up all these picks, and they have 3 first-rounders, and Jeffrey Lurie's talked about 2 to 5 years because they said, okay, we're going to tack on different position groups and address things here and there, but we're also going to remember, hey, we have a ton of assets going forward. So I agree with what you're saying. It's that, hey, this isn't a 1-year plan. It's not. It's frustrating to me because once we're like talking like on draft night when we got DeVonta Smith and we see guys starting to fall, we're like, well, damn, hey, if we get a bona fide day 1 starter in the 2nd round, then we address a corner in the 3rd, like maybe we can make some noise. So like we got trapped. We trapped ourselves a little bit. You know what I mean?
June 1st is not here yet either. June 1st isn't here yet. And you could get a Band-Aid that's good enough for a year, and you're not bringing him in to be your number 1. You're bringing him in to be your number 2 because you have your number 1 in Slay. But is it a concern like injury-wise with guys? Like, oh my God, my goodness. But guess what then? Then you're giving me a top 5 fucking pick next year. You know what I mean? So if that's the case, fine, because this isn't I don't expect to win anything this year. It's house money. Like if they come out and play good football, then it's a win, right? If they come out and don't, then it's like, okay, I expected this. So I'm not like hopeful for success this year. It's really after 2022, right? Where there's a lot of money in free agency to be able to spend, and you're going to have 4 picks at least in the top 2 rounds, right? Mm-hmm. Which should be day 1 starters, right? So you have a lot of guys that you can fill in with. So like, again, like when I really look at the depth chart, you needed a guy like Milton. You needed him somewhere. So I got a better chance getting that guy in the 3rd round than I do in the 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th. Right, I need to make sure Fletcher Cox isn't playing 1,000 snaps, right? So I have to make sure if I'm trying to rebuild that unit and get younger too, that's important.
Well, that was part of their reset. They wanted to rebuild both of their offense and defensive line units. They wanted to see where they're at as far as the development of their young linebackers, and then heading into next year, their plan is we're one cornerback away from having a top 10 defense. We're one, I don't know, tight end or an additional wide receiver away from being a really good offense. So, and then they would address it by saying, okay, somebody said it up above, like they have $70 million extra in cap space. So we all talk about, hey, they're going to go out and get a cornerback in the draft. Well, with all the money that they're going to have next year, maybe they get one of the flashiest named cornerbacks in free agency or a wide receiver in free agency.
No. Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, we just don't know. And I know the frustration could be like, we want to win now. Like nobody likes going into a football season ever thinking you can't compete, right? Like that's not what we want to do. But if you really look at our defense, like granted, it's on paper. But the one thing we do know is they can get to the damn quarterback. They can absolutely get to the quarterback. We proved that last year. So that's not going to change, right? So now I look at like, okay, what additions did they do? I really love the Anthony Harris pickup, okay? Because him and McLeod, right? If McLeod's back in time, is a great veteran unit.
I love Anthony Harris is all over the football. He's like he's a magnet. You know what I'm saying? I love Anthony Harris.
Remember something, those guys in the back end are important to your corners too. I mean, there's a chance that Anthony Harris and Rodney McLeod are your opening day starters. I'll take that any day of the week right now. I know McLeod's coming off injury, so but he's done this before though, where he came off injury and had a good year. So it wouldn't be his first time doing it. Okay, and then I look at the linebacker core. Okay, I get it. Alex Singleton, Eric Wilson. I like them too. I don't really have a middle guy. Can TJ Edwards play the middle? Can Sean Bradley play the middle? I don't know. That's like the whole spot. But I have some guys.
It's probably going to be Sean Bradley because apparently that's all he can play in the NFL system. That's what they've shown. He's just a middle guy. That's it.
And then it's like your other corner. Like Avonte Maddox to me can't play the outside, but at least I know I have one legit shutdown corner or close to it in Darius Slay. And then I just got to hope like June 1st, can I get something? Because when I look at this defense and offense, right, I'm like, well, in this division, like with the addition of DeVonta Smith, I now look at our offense and say it's explosive. Like it's explosive because now Jalen Reagor doesn't have to be the number one wide receiver. He's not built for that, right? Now he can have a bigger year. So I look at this offense and I think explosiveness and I like it. And this offensive line looks if they're healthy and can stay healthy, and they do have depth, which is good now.
Well, to your point, and again, this is all projection.
Yeah,
this
is having fun.
Yeah. But like when you talk about this offense, right? If DeVonta ends up being like I said in the chat of your show last night, I think like if people don't want to call him like Marvin Harrison, I get it because that's really high. But to me, I think he's going to end up being our Calvin Ridley, which I think everyone would take that in Twice on Sunday.
Yeah,
he's Calvin Ridley for us.
He's better than Calvin Ridley though.
But I'm saying like I don't want to say the floor because the floor could be way lower because of injuries. But like if he ends up being that, are you upset?
Nah. He's got to be better than Calvin Ridley.
Okay. But either way, okay, so
Calvin Ridley also has been playing with Julio and also like hasn't had to be the number one guy. So he's better than Ridley. So no, like to me, you got to be Marvin Harrison.
Okay. All right. Hey, listen, I won't be mad at that either.
Yeah, I drafted you in the top 10 in the NFL draft. I need you to do what I said you were going to do, which is go put a damn gold jacket on. Okay. So that's what I need him to be. I don't think Calvin Ridley will ever put a gold one on. You know what I mean? And I like Calvin Ridley. It's one of my Bama guys. I love Ridley, but he's not like he's a good route runner. He's a fucking explosive as shit, but he's not even close to a good route runner as like Smith or Judy is.
Fair. That's fair. But that's fair.
Can he have Judy success year one? Like 50 catches, 900 yards. I think he can have more success than that. I think he could have like 65, 70 and over 1,000. Like I don't think there's any reason he can't year one unless Jalen Hurts can't throw the football.
True. So say, for example, DeVonta turns out to be exactly what we expect him and want him to be.
Yeah.
Baker develops into that, a solid number 2 receiver. Obviously, we'll look down on it. Maybe he'll never be the guy that should have been taken over Justin Jefferson. But say he finds a role here, right? He gets comfortable when he finds a role, and he's a really solid player in our system. And Fulgham ends up being not Jerry Rice, but he ends up being bona fide NFL wide receiver. Really good number 3.
Or like everybody tells me, because it's brand new coaching staff, or they can develop the other guy we drafted in the second round, and maybe he can be that big target.
Umbrella?
Yeah. I mean, this is the last year of it. But remember something. He hasn't gotten a ton of freaking snaps either.
Well, you know what's funny, and I meant to say this on one of the shows we did last week. JJ Arcega-Whiteside is in the same exact situation that Sidney Jones was in a year ago, before this season. You know what I'm saying? To where one more year left, a lot of questions about a ton of things with his game and maybe the mental side. It's that, okay, we just want to see him play. If he sucks, he sucks, but we just want to see it. And I hope, listen, am I betting the freaking house that Arcega-Whiteside is good or even an NFL player? No, I'm not. But I hope that they at least do what they didn't do with Sidney Jones. Just go out there and see. In a year where we're not expecting anything, say he's an embarrassment. Okay, get him off the field. Fine, whatever.
It'd be a lot easier with Smith and Reagor out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I don't know about Reagor yet, but I know about Smith.
Yeah.
And this offense, and like depending on what they do with Ertz, right? Like if that guy's still around too. I mean, even if he's not, but if he is, this offense is dangerous. Now, it depends if Jalen Hurts can throw the football enough. We're going to find out. But there's weapons around him that Carson didn't have. Like this with the addition of DeVonta Smith. There's more weapons right there than Carson had in the last 3 years.
Damn right. JD's coming at you, by the way.
Really is a stud, dude. But he's played with the best wide receiver in football the last fucking 10 years. So I mean, I love Calvin Ridley. I guess everybody misses that. I'm telling you, DeVonta Smith is a better route runner than Calvin Ridley is. He's a different type of receiver. Ridley did different things. That's all.
That's true, Philly sports guy. Ridley isn't scoring 23 touchdowns.
Oh, like calm down. Like I like Calvin Ridley, but Calvin Ridley isn't. I'm not drafting Calvin Ridley in the top 10. I think they did, but I'm not. I mean, that's what they do. But they also were going to put him with the best wide receiver in football. Draws a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. What up, Carl?
Now, somebody asked us earlier, do we expect, like, how many guys in this draft do we expect to be day one starters? And I just look down and we say, okay, well, DeVonta is a no-brainer, obviously. I think there's a way better chance than people expect that, if healthy, Dickerson's definitely going to play. Because, again, either somebody's going to get hurt or somebody's getting traded. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be a game where somebody's hurt ahead of him.
Starters is hard. I would say guys who get or that are in rotations and get legitimate NFL snaps is probably a better word for it. And with that, I would say 5 because of necessity.
So would you just go the first 5 outright and then the rest it's kind of we'll see?
Yep.
Yeah, and I see a bunch of people flipping out about this Jacoby Stevens. And listen, I get it.
Maybe Landon Dickerson doesn't, right? Like that's like the only one maybe that doesn't, just because doesn't have to say they don't for anybody.
He's the only one that has a pass, quote unquote, to not to, because the offensive line already has a pretty strong depth chart. Ciamalo, he's not like Matt Pryor to where we would have a huge issue with him starting, even though I know everything that everyone has read says that he has Dickerson has the inside track to possibly overtake Ciamalo, which that's awesome. Not for Ciamalo, but that's awesome for the sake of, okay, if your draft guy is coming in day one and replacing Ciamalo, that means the guy can flat out play. But like I said, he's the only one that has a legitimate excuse not to.
And Bill, he's not a starter, Bill. 2 starters, Smith and Gainwell. No, he's a rotational guy. So he's not a starter, Gainwell. I'm telling you, there's 5 guys that were drafted that have a chance that are 4 of them are definitely rotational guys. And because DeVonta Smith is a starter, so the other four are rotational guys. With 2 of them have a chance to be starters in Dickerson and Smith, and the other 3 are definitely getting snaps.
Oh, there's no question that Milton Williams is, because like you said in the open, Tom, it's him, Hargrave, and that's it.
Yeah, and Zeke and Zach McPherson might have to get snaps out of necessity, depending what happens June 1st, right?
If he's better than Craig, I mean, it's literally, if they don't make any more moves.
Oh, it's horrible.
If they don't make any more moves, who their starting outside cornerback is, right? Number 2 at least?
Yeah, it's Avonte Maddox.
No, I was going to say Craig James. If they keep Avonte in the slot.
Yeah, I guess that depends on what they decide to do with that. I don't know, but there's nobody out there. Like in terms of their corners are bad.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful.
It's not even something fun to talk about outside of Slay. And like Avonte in the slot, I'd be okay with, right? So like if he's in the slot and Zach plays the outside, then like, okay, let's see what he has if we don't do anything June 1st. But with the veterans over top and the three veterans back there, you would think it's like, okay, that's an easy transition for you, or an easier transition for you.
And to your point from earlier, as far as kind of the flip side, like everyone talks about what they're upset with, like what they did do. The two positions that I'm glad they didn't touch, and we were saying this well, and I don't know if you agreed with me with the second position. I know you did with the one that they didn't touch in this draft. Quarterback, obviously, thank you for having the feel for the room, Howie. Like not even take him on in the 7th. I know you took an undrafted guy, but whatever. I don't really care. But I'm glad they didn't take a tight end high or at all. You know what I'm saying? Because apparently that was floating around this weekend. Like, oh, they were looking at tight ends. They're number one. I don't want to draft a tight end because I would like to know what Dallas Goedert is, please. And the more I think about it, I'm not moving Zach Ertz. Like I've completely done a 180.
You're with me on that now.
Yeah, I found my way home. I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm not touching them. I'm not.
Jacob says, hold on, real quick. Jacob said, come on, Tom, how many teams have 5 rotational guys? Well, when you're drafting guys that are behind legitimate starters, that's what happens. You're drafting them to like replace those guys. So like, you know what I mean? That's what you're drafting them for, right? That's what you're doing. I mean, again, I'm not going to like crown rounds 3, 4, 5. Like, I'm not going on a crown party here. Like, but I mean, that's what it is until guys like take guy spots. Like is Milton taking Cox or Hargrave's spot? No. But is he going to get snaps? Yeah. Is Zach probably going to get snaps, or Zeke or whatever the hell his name is? Maybe.
Yeah, his name sucks. If all of our name guys out there, that tells me he can't play just because of the name.
Yeah, name's iffy.
Yeah.
So, in reality, like those guys are probably going to get snaps, right? So I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're not going to get 5 guys that are going to be home run picks in the draft, Jacob. You're just not. Like as much as I would love to, I love the draft, love it when it's here, but you expect to get 5? I mean, shit, if I can get 2 big time players out of each draft, I'm sitting pretty. If I get 2 big time players. Yeah. So I'm not defending Howie Roseman. I want to make this clear to people. But I can't be freaking sitting here crushing a guy when he goes to the school especially that I beg him to go to once in a while, right? And especially when you're trying to build something, when you're trying to build a culture of winning. I mean, you got 2 Bama guys, and the one guy's been their fucking team captain for fucking ever, and the coach can't say enough great things about how great of a leader he is. So it says the best leader they've had. Yeah. So, I mean, again, the injuries are scary. I get it. I understand it. But if DeVonta Smith puts on a gold jacket, I can't sit here and complain about the fucking draft. I need to start hitting somewhere.
No, how many years has it been since we've had a Pro Bowler, Tom, come out of a draft?
Fucking forever.
So if we get 2 Pro Bowlers, say Landon becomes Kelsey 2.0, and DeVonta ends up being DeVonta.
Landon, if healthy, can be better than Jason Kelsey.
Well, that's what they're hoping for. It's that, hey, they know the importance of Jason Kelsey and the interior of this offensive line and how strong that's been and how important that's been, not only for the on-play, progression of this team, but also just the culture of this team, that they weren't going to say, hey, we're not going to have a lame duck year.
Yeah.
They want to know, hey, Jason Kelsey's going next year. We want to have a guy a year into the system at least.
Ready to go, right? And become one of our leaders. Joe H. said DeVonta Smith is the best receiver prospect I've ever seen. So that's a smaller Randy Moss. If Dickerson stays healthy, the Eagles' offensive line is going to be massive and mean. I love both picks. I do too. And the injuries with the one, I get it. All right. But I love the picks. I love the first 2 picks. So I don't know what I can't just. I don't know.
We were talking about it. We were talking about it for months. If we hit 2 if 2 of these guys end up hitting, and again, maybe that's an extremely low, expectation rate. But given with what we've done and what we've seen from this draft room the last handful of years, if we hit on 2 guys and they become bona fide superstars or just flat out, big time assets for this team, I don't want to say I don't care about the rest, but we're not going to look down on this draft 3 years from now. If 2 guys become great and Gainwell ends up being a solid rotational guy and the rest are just
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's just not like we can't be going in. Like, I understand we want to be like the friggin' Baltimore Ravens where we hit on 7 out of 8 guys, but that's if we're expecting that from this organization, then we're kidding ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Jacobs point here. I mean, you don't got to tell me about trading up. I wouldn't even have picks after the 3rd round. I would trade them all. I would make sure I have picks in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round. That's it. And the rest of them don't even matter to me. But that's how I would operate.
Oh, I would have had with the draft capital they had before this all started, I would have picked 4 times in the top 60. You know what I'm saying? Like you want an extra 5th? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. You want a player? Go ahead.
That's it. Even the kid out of Memphis, they put out really good running backs. You know, it's become a little bit of a running back factory per se. So like I think he's going to be impactful for this offense. And like running backs, like day one, especially when it doesn't have to be the guy, right? Can be impactful. So like this offense is going to come down to Jalen Hurts, but he sure as hell on paper right now has a ton of weapons around him.
And that's the biggest thing too. They went out and they said, we're going to get our quarterback his guy. We're going to get our quarterback his future guy to protect him in Landon.
They won't admit this is their quarterback, yes, but go ahead.
Yes. They're going to go out and get Miles Sanders, somebody to really help him. And for everyone saying, oh, this is just another Boston Scott, I get it because he's little. I understand that. Like, would I have rather had them go out and get a bona fide bruiser power back? Sure. Fine. But given who Nick Sirianni is and what he did with the Indianapolis Colts, I think a perfect comparison, if you want to kind of get a projection of what he can be, but probably better, Nyheim Hines. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they even talked about running him in the slot sometimes because he's that good. He's that good of a pass catcher. So I mean,
which is great because that's what they tried to do a lot with Miles. They tried using Miles in the passing game, and Miles got exposed a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
So if they could just say, "Hey, Miles, focus on putting your foot in the ground and get better," and we have a guy that could do that for you, that's a win-win. That's an absolute win-win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I like this offense the way it's assembled. We'll see how it plays out. And this defense, like I said, the safety position, I really like the way it's set up right now, right? And the defensive front, because of the name still here, and their production last year, I like a lot. So, we'll see. And I know people talked about, signing us. What was that? Let me see if I can find it. God, there's so many comments.
I know. We love it, fam.
Yeah, keep them flying. Steven Nelson. Like, yeah, I mean, I would.
Yeah.
I would take any corner that's played, legitimate snaps in the NFL and can show they can hang right now to play the other one. And I think people would say, okay, maybe you can compete a little bit more than we thought we could.
And it was very interesting. I think somebody said this in the Zoom call. It might have actually been Howie. He kind of mentions he mentioned the Ronald Darby Jordan Matthews trade about how in the past, he's gone very late into the offseason. Now, I mean, listen, I don't know I don't know what you would be able to do. I mean, maybe like everyone's saying, oh, maybe trade Zach Ertz for a cornerback. But my kind of rebuttal to that is, well, you tried trading Zach Ertz for a 4th round pick and you couldn't do it. So what makes me think they're automatically going to be able to trade Zach Ertz for, a really solid player that's already in the NFL? But maybe you can work out some kind of trade where you give, such and such player for a cornerback, or maybe, like you said, Tom, maybe you just sign somebody that's on the street that gets cut after June 1st.
Yeah, which is definitely going to happen.
I just need for this year. I just need a Band-Aid that could be somebody better than Avonte Maddox on the outside or Craig James. If somebody's out there that can do that for me, cool. You're hired. You're absolutely hired.
Umberto, I mean, I think we all are concerned about that because of what's in our division and what we're seeing. And I'm never going to sit here and say that like, oh, I'm okay that, we didn't address the cornerback position. But I'm also going to say like, okay, we're trying to rebuild a football team here too. And you do that by in the trenches. They went skill position with their first pick. So, I understand them going in the trenches. That's their MO. And again, I'm not saying they're good at it. I'm just saying that's their MO. And with all the picks next year and the amount of money they have next year, I hope that if there are these big holes the following year that we will fill them in the draft, right?
So I want to ask you guys this too. In the first round, who would you say was the biggest reach pick of the first round?
To me, Trey Lance.
Oh, so you're going all the way out. You're going to 3. Okay. All right. I'm looking here.
They didn't have to do it at 3. I mean, it's
No.
just simple as that. They didn't have to do it at 3. They could have stayed where they were at. You know, it is what it is. I'm not saying a kid won't be able to play one day. You know, I'm just saying that that's a freaking big time reach at 3 when 2 quarterbacks just went off the board.
Especially because I don't think he should play right away. I know what they're saying. Oh, they believe that he can be a day one starter. No, listen, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe prove me wrong, but I don't buy it.
There's other reaches in the first round, but I'm gonna go early on because that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I like that. I wasn't expecting it, but I like that. Eric Stokes to me at 29. He's not a first round talent. I like him, but he's like the 5th. It's like the 5th best cornerback, and you take him at 29 for the Packers. I mean, the easy one is Leatherwood.
Yeah, but real quick, the devil's advocate of that, like 29 compared to going second round, it's like close enough.
Yeah,
right?
it's semantics. It's semantics.
Close enough. But I hear it.
Leatherwood at 17. I mean, that's the easy one. Even Zaven Collins, even though I like him at 16. Guys like that. But to be honest, I could argue Kadarius Toney to get some Giants fans fired up, even though I like him.
Yeah, fit for what they need. It's a good pick, and what they got back, right? Like what they need is a slot guy, a burner. I mean, nobody we're going to cover. You know, they have their outside guys per se. So I mean, for them and what they need, it's a good pick. But he probably could have been a day twoer.
Yeah, they can get away with that reach also because of the value that they acquired in the trade back. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and somebody's taking him probably in the first round. Sorry,
Kadarius isn't getting out of the first. No.
Yeah, I mean,
Urban Meyer said it. He wasn't getting past. If Kadarius Toney if he got to where they took Travis Etienne, Kadarius Toney was going to get picked there. So he wasn't going to get past pick 25 because that's where they took Travis Etienne.
I mean, when the Giants got burned by us, I think they did the best they could do, and you know, I don't think they did it. I don't think they did a bad job with it per se because they got the haul back, and the same reason we got a haul back, right? So I mean, you can't have enough first round picks. You know what I mean? Can't have enough of them. And I agree with Jerry here. You know, I think they'll address it somehow. You know, because we're not playing tomorrow. So like, you know, I understand the frustration of the draft with it, right? Like you know me, how I wanted corners, and I would have no problem with drafting 3 in a row. But like, you know, I'm not going to flip out about it because they went to a position that they have not been able to hit on, and it's been a glaring freaking Bermuda Triangle, which has been the wide receiver position, and they need to hit on one of them too. You know, we talk about fighting fire with Wooder. I get it. I'm a fire with Wooder guy. You know, a Wooder on fire guy, but we got to have some fire too. You know, we got to have some fire around us too, and we don't have it. And you know, until we get that fire, we can't even think about stopping anybody. And yeah, I agree with that one, Don. You know, Horn was definitely a reach at 8, especially, you know, over Surtain, which I had higher, but I think Horn's a good football player, and we will see. Bill says, does anybody else feel they could draft better than this organization after watching year after year this weasel? Yeah. I mean, I feel like I could do it from the street, Bill, right? Just do it from the couch. I don't need to be anywhere with it. I can flat out do it. And Jerry, yeah, you can't rebuild it in one draft, you know, and you got to rebuild it by those positions, these specific positions. And you got to hope that these picks are hits, right? And that's what it comes down to. You know, you got to hope that Landon Dickerson stays healthy, and you got to hope that Milton can play, and go from there, right? And go from there. And then you got a lot next year, and you have a lot of money, and you can hope you can rebuild it. But Jerry, you're right. You know, you're not playing tomorrow, so you know you hope you can go out and maybe get 2 corners after June 1st, or trade some of these guys for corners, whatever the case may be. But I don't think it's over. in terms of what they're going to run out there. Like, there's no way they can run this unit out there straight face.
Which corner are you talking about, Tom?
No, these corners, like, any of them. Like,
Yeah.
like, you can't run these guys out here straight face. Like, we can't run Craig James and fucking, Zach McPherson. And, I mean, he's going to have to play to see if he can play. But, and then you're talking about, like, Levert Hill, like, grow the fuck up. So there's no way they're going to run these guys out there. They're going to address it in some way, shape, or form. But I said, our safety position, I really like. I really like Harrison McLeod. So,
and we also got to figure out who Kayvon is. Kayvon Wallace. We got to figure out who he is too.
Exactly. So,
I
don't think there's any reason to like panic on the position yet.
No, and like I'm worried. I'm on the worried side of things, but like I said at the beginning, if anyone's coming in going, "Oh, fire Howie, this is ridiculous. I'm not watching the season because," calm the hell down. Calm the hell down. Like we get caught up in it too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know we all make gut feelings and initial reactions to things, but there's been times where we love drafts. Like I said last night on in the chat of your show, Tom. Everyone's so worried because this year was always boring. There was no splash. Last year was the definition of splash. You got a backup quarterback and a bunch of speed guys. That pan out for us?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it's not a splash when your first round pick is who it is. Like, I mean, that's splash right there.
Yeah. And the second one could easily and Dickerson could end up being a splash also. We just don't know.
Listen, they went to the lines, they went to their MO, right? I think they got contributors, especially offensively, with Smith, Dickerson, and Gainwell. Like, I think they have day one contributors there. So I'm just not like in this panic mode. I like what they did. I'm not like overly jacked up. I mean, Chuck's saying the same thing. I mean, with those two guys, like that's day one. That's day one players. Now, Gainwell's not a day one starter per se, but day one rotational guy, day one snaps guy from a school that puts out running backs well, and the other guy from a school that puts out great wide receivers. So, I mean, to me, like, I'm not mad. I'm not mad about this draft. That's why I'll continue to disagree with the poll. And it's funny because I'm the guy who crushes them.
Now, I'll ask you this. In this scenario where, let's say you just sub out 1 for 1. Say instead of them taking DeVonta there, they took Horn there. I know Horn wasn't available, but just hypothetically. Say their draft is the exact same, but that they go Horn instead of DeVonta.
I'm annoyed.
So, but to your point, that's how important that first pick is to you.
Yeah, and everybody overlooks it. Like everybody feel like to me talks about second and on, and I'm like, well, we just because it's the guy we wanted,
it's typical Philly.
It's a guy we wanted, so we're just going to act like we didn't draft him.
We overlook what went right, so we can focus on what's probably not going to go 100% right.
Yeah,
we're going to obsess over what went wrong instead of the biggest thing that could have gone. It's probably going to end up being really, really good, and that's obviously DeVonta.
Yeah, and then people are just like, well, it's like,
yeah, they're like, oh, it's good. All right. Like, they're more worried about the 4 5th-round picks or the 4 6th-round picks instead of the 1 first-round pick that was a top 10 talent.
Yeah, and arguably, in my eyes, the best wide receiver in the draft, and some other people's eyes. So I don't know. You went and got a weapon, which hopefully can make last year's first-round pick start to pan out better, and then you don't have to go back to that position, right? And that would be really great. And then you don't have to go back to that position, and you can start focusing on some of these other positions that you've used 3 picks in the first 2 rounds the last 3 years on the wide receiver position. So I mean, you got to hope that I believe he's a hit, but then you got to hope the other guy can play. And if that's the case, again, then you don't have to go back there for a minute.
Which will be awesome to go into an offseason not having to obsess with wide receiver.
Yeah, somebody go over a damn 1,000 yards.
Now, I know there was a couple Cowboys fans that asked us to give our thoughts on the Cowboys picks, the first handful and then the rest of the NFC. So I'll just ask you guys. So I'll give you their first handful of picks, and you just tell me what you think. Obviously, Micah Parsons, they traded back to 12. So they swapped with us, and they took Micah Parsons. Kelvin Joseph, cornerback from Kentucky, they took in the second round. They took Odezigua, the defensive tackle from UCLA. Another defensive end, Chauncey Golston from Iowa. A cornerback, Nashawn Wright, and then Jabril Cox at 115.
Oh, I thought the Cowboys had a great draft.
I think they're at the top, one of the best drafts, I would say, in the NFL, to be honest.
Yeah, and I can just say that alone with Parsons. So, like, if I can say that just alone with Parsons, I should be able to say the same thing alone with DeVonta Smith.
Yeah, I mean, the combination of Jabril, Kelvin Joseph, and Micah Parsons, if all three of those are what we all think they're going to be, and you pair that with new defensive coordinator Dan Quinn and all the talent they have on offense, it's a really good team. And I don't go out of my way to say that because it's Dallas, but that's a really good team.
Yeah, I don't even know how much Jabril Cox matters. I mean, if just the other two are.
Well, do you see what came out today? With they're not gonna pick up the 5th-year option on the linebacker Van Der Esch in 2022. They're not going to pick it up.
Well, they have so much other things to spend. You know, their money's tied up in so many things too.
So they're probably hoping, hey, Jabril maybe becomes the heir apparent to Van Der Esch.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what they're hoping, or just Michael Parsons is just that much of a pimp. You don't need all the other ones.
Yeah, you could just have one linebacker out there.
Kelvin Joseph can play. So I mean, listen, I think they had a really good draft. You know, they got my number 2 player in the draft at 12. So shit, right there alone. And then my number 3 guy is the guy we got. So that's why I grade us high.
Yeah, true. Then you go to Washington, and they take Jamin Davis, inside linebacker from Kentucky, at 19. You go to Samuel Cosme, who's the offensive tackle from Texas, pick 51. You got Benjamin St. Justy, I can never say his last name, from Minnesota, the cornerback. De'Ami Brown, wide receiver, North Carolina, and then John Bates, tight end from Boise.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, until they figure out, I mean, we think we hope we have our quarterback, but until they figure that out, I mean, I'm just going to man them up and down.
I'm very listen, maybe they tried, but I'm very surprised they didn't move up to get a quarterback.
Yeah, I guess they threw out the hall for Fields, but they can't go Fields there, right? It's like they are unallowed. So they're in like no man's land. And
they're smart enough not to trade up for Mac Jones.
I mean, I would have rather, if they had Mac Jones, I think it's a perfect fit there. But
he's better than Fitzpatrick. Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, he could just be a guy that can run the offense. You have weapons there now.
Eagles player, 800 yards. We appreciate the donation, brother. And anybody that wants to donate on the super chat, we can't thank you enough. He said there's no excuse for Miles on them. 800 in today's NFL. He better have over 1,100. Right?
800. I mean, all-purpose yards 800 or 800. I mean, either way, it should be over 800, regardless.
Umberto, thank you, brother. Umberto. I said, what does Ertz need to accomplish to establish himself as a QB of our franchise? A playoff berth or just good numbers? Well, I mean,
it's a great question.
His numbers need to go up, right? So you look at his completion percentage. You want to look at his completion percentage inside the pocket, and you want to see them things get better. And if them things get better, that there's success will come on both ends, and you'll start to feel like, okay, this is the guy we can build around.
It's a really good question from Umberto, because in a year where you're not, again, it's the NFL, anything can happen, but where you're not really expecting them to compete in comparison to what they have for the last handful of years, it's tough to really gauge what not the asking price, but what you're expecting from Jalen Hurts. So, I don't want to put division title, because then it's like, okay, well, they can go 6-10 or 6-11 or whatever, and it might not be his fault. So it's tough to really gauge the results thing. Is it fair, fam, and Tom, I ask you this, is it fair to just put expectation kind of blanket on it saying if they lose games, it can't be because of him. Like, he can't be the glaring weakness of this. Like, he has to just eye test, be the guy that, okay, he's good enough to carry this team.
Yeah, it's real simple. If this offense is scoring points and they're losing games because the defense can't get off the field, or all that's going to matter. And again, like Jay said, steady progress is going to matter, right? Like, if his completion percentage is still 51%, we got a big problem. So, like those types of things. Mm-hmm. And you'll be able to start to see, like, okay, we know what he can do with his legs and outside the pocket, but we need to see the progress inside the pocket. And if the progress inside the pocket comes, then you know that, okay, this guy can be our franchise QB because he checks off all the other boxes: leadership, accountability, all those things, work ethic. So with those things, that then is like, okay, you need to get better at one thing. And if you can get better at that one thing, then you can be the franchise guy.
Yeah, and I hate to bring up this guy's name, like the name that shall not be mentioned, our former quarterback, Carson Wentz, but even in 2016, where similar to this year, we had very limited expectations.
Yep.
We saw building blocks of what we were like, okay, he did this, and he needs to improve on this, and this to be a franchise quarterback. Like, we saw the progression. And we saw while they didn't win and they didn't do anything late in the season, we saw, hey, it's not all of his fault. That's what we need to see from Jalen Hurts. We need to see, okay, this is something to work on. Oh, you're really good at this. Oh, the leadership's really good. So those type things. And also, we've watched football for long enough. We've watched the Eagles team. We're going to be able to know if this guy can play without really tacking on any kind of results. Like, we're going to know. You know what I'm saying? Situationally, different throws, like you said, Tom, improving on certain things that he needed to improve on after last season. We will have a very good gauge if they allow him to play all 17 games. We'll know what type of player he is by the end of this coming year. And then I know there were a couple Giants fans that asked us our thoughts on the Giants draft, so I'll just run through the first couple real quick. Obviously, you trade back from 11 to 20 with the Bears, and you draft Kadarius Toney. Then you went Azeez Ojulari from Georgia. I thought he was a first-round talent, so to get him at 50 was really good. Then you went Aaron Robinson, cornerback, Central Florida, in the third round. Ellerson Smith, outside linebacker from Northern Iowa. Gary Brightwell, running back, Arizona.
No, I mean, I thought they had a really solid draft. So, I thought that's another team in our division that had a really good draft too. So, I think us, Dallas, and the Giants had good drafts. So,
now, Tom, who would and I'm going to pull up ESPN's grades, but who would you think out of all 32 teams, who are your 2 or 3 biggest winners of the draft? And I'll put a little caveat on it, Tom. It doesn't have to be a team. It could be a certain player that was drafted. Yeah,
I mean, I'll go a couple ways. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars are a winner. I mean, I know they got the first pick of the draft, but they're a winner because they got their guy, right? And then to be able to get ETN too and do things they did. And honestly, I thought the Jets were a little bit of a winner. I'm going to go with the really bad teams here and give them a case for going in the right directions, right? And I think the Jets did a great job with Vera Tucker, and hopefully they get their guy in Zach Wilson. But I thought they did a really good job of Joe Douglas saying, you know what, I got to do the opposite of what they did there here for Darnold, and I got to protect this guy. So with him and Mikael Becton on the one side, I think they're going in a really good direction when you got your left guard and left tackle. So I think the Jets were a winner of this draft. That's just 2 early teams that were really bad last year. That I think they did the easy picks early on, right? But I thought what they did after that were good jobs, and you could see the direction both teams are trying to go into.
And they got Elijah Moore too, who dropped.
Yeah. I mean,
Michael
they had
Carter, running backs. They had some glaring weaknesses. Obviously, quarterback, offensive line. To your point, Tom, they needed that extra receiver or 2 and another running back. They hit all of those in the first 4 or 5 picks.
Yeah, they had a really good draft. Really good draft. And I thought the Jaguars did too.
I'm looking here. So, like, I'll just go down the list and you tell me if you agree, Tom. So, this is in alphabetical order. So, they gave the Arizona Cardinals a B+, going Zaven Collins, Rondale Moore, and Marco Wilson with their first 3 picks.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
It's an draft to me. They gave Falcons an A+ after going Kyle Pitts at 4, Richie Grant at 40, Jalen Mayfield, the guard from Michigan, at 68, and then a cornerback at 108. I mean, is it fair for me to say if Kyle Pitts is what he's supposed to be, nothing else, like that's going to carry this draft for them?
Yeah, I think you make the same case for us, but yeah.
The Baltimore Ravens getting their another wide receiver, Rashawn Bateman. You got Oweh from Penn State, Benjamin Cleveland, the guard from Georgia. Tylan Wallace, wide receiver, cornerback Sean Wade. They gave them an A.
I usually like all on board with giving Baltimore good grades. I don't love their draft, but that's just me.
No, it wasn't the sexy wow type drafts that they've had as of late.
No.
They gave the Buffalo Bills an A- after getting Gregory Rousseau at 30, Carlos Basham at 61, Spencer Brown, offensive tackle, and then Tommy Doyle, offensive tackle. So they just basically their entire draft was just line play. They were just getting more depth of their line. And also a team like that, they don't really need to be splashy because they have a loaded roster already.
Yeah, no, I thought they had a good draft. Solid draft.
Now, I'm interested to see what you think of this team. That's the Carolina Panthers, because they took J.C. Horn before Surtain. They went Horn, Terrace Marshall, Brady Christensen, Tommy Tremble, and then Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say they had a bad draft, but they didn't. They had a better draft after the first round. I mean, I like J.C. Horn, but I didn't think he would be the number 1 corner off the board. He really jumped, and it is what it is. But I don't love their draft. It was okay.
Then you go Chicago Bears, Justin Fields, trade up to get him, Tevin Jenkins at pick 39, and then an offensive tackle 151. It's gonna live and die on Justin Fields. If he can play, it's an A. It's an A draft. If he can't play, it's a D- to F draft.
Yeah, Tevin Jenkins is a good pick. But no, I mean, I don't know about Fields. You're right. I mean, it's all going to depend on him.
Cincinnati Bengals, they gave a B+, taking Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. They then addressed offensive tackle at 46, getting Jackson Carman from Clemson, Jason Oweh, and then Cam Sample. And fam, they obviously made more picks after this, but I don't think anyone cares about Michigan running back Chris Evans taking a pick 202.
No,
you know what I mean?
I think they had a good draft. Honestly, I think they did. I think they had a really good draft. I mean, getting their guy Chase to go with Burrow, and then still addressing the tackle in the early second round. You know what I mean? I think they had a really good draft.
I would say this was the team that most people have at the top of their list, and that's the Cleveland Browns, going Greg Newsome, getting Joker at pick 52 after he dropped, and then getting Anthony Schwartz, wide receiver Auburn, and then James Hudson, the offensive tackle from Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, they had a really good draft. I mean, I don't love Newsome, but to go with Denzel Ward, I think it's great. And to get Joker, that defense just got better. So, I mean, yep, they had a really good draft. I don't know if they had the best draft, but they had a really good one.
The team that no one's really talking about that I think had a top 5 draft of 2021 was Denver, in my opinion. For them, for their first 4 picks, to go Surtain, Javonte Williams, Quinn Miners, their guard situation, and then Baron Browning at 105, who has a huge upside from Ohio State. For them to get those first 4, and then to get Jamar Johnson later, Kerry Vincent later, I mean, that could be an awesome draft for them. Because they already have a really good roster. It's just, who the hell's the quarterback?
Yeah, the quarterback position's the unknown, but they had a really good draft again. They had a good one last year. They had another one this year.
Then you go to Don's Lions. You've got Penei Sewell. You've got Onruza rookie, Washington defensive tackle. Another defensive tackle, Aleem McNeil, and then a guy I know a lot of people wanted for the Eagles at 70, and that was cornerback from Syracuse, Afitu Melifonwu.
Yeah, I think the Detroit Lions had a really good draft. Understanding you got to build through the trenches. And Penei Sewell's a home run hit for them. I think they had a really good draft. Nothing's sexy when you talk about offensive line and defensive tackles. But I mean, you gotta get those types of guys, and then to get a corner like that where they got him at, I think it's a hit.
Now I'll give you this agree or disagree question for this team, Tom, and I'll read you the top 5 picks. Agree or disagree? The Jacksonville Jaguars had the best draft of 2021 after starting with Lawrence, Etienne, Tyson Campbell, cornerback Georgia, Walker Little, offensive tackle from Stanford, and Andre Sisco, Syracuse safety.
Yeah, I think they honestly had the best draft, and you get almost hurt by having a number 1 pick, right? Because it's like people out there it's like, oh, well, that's who they should have went with, and they don't like. They take out the fact they're like the guy's a pimp, right? And that's what's comical to me, right? Yeah, and teams with the first and second pick never get graded well for some reason, right? It's always like a missionary grade because it's like, oh, they took the guys they're supposed to take, right? You know what I mean? So to me, I look at Jacksonville, and if you look at those picks, right, and you look at when you got Trevor Lawrence, who has been the first round pick the last 3 fucking years, and you got Travis Etienne, his running mate. Right, and could argue better than Najee Harris, not me, but people out there argue that, right? Not me, but still, you got the second best running back in this draft per se. You still went offensive line from a kid from Stanford, which is always probably a win, right? And then to get Andre Sisco, where you got him, I think they had an extremely good draft. Like how do they not have the best draft? They got arguably the best player.
Is there a team out there, Tom, that just screams because this ranking, they don't have a ranking below B, so this ESPN list is way too friendly. But is there a team that you came out of it saying they had a horrible draft?
Yeah, it's the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm going to continue to freaking pound the table over it. It's the San Francisco 49ers. They didn't have to do what they did. They reached for a quarterback. I'm going to continue to say the Jets played them, and I hate to say it. I just hate to say it, And I'm never going to say Trey Lance can't play, but nobody knows. That's the thing. At least with the other 2 quarterbacks, you've seen them play at fairly high competition. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, obviously big time competition, and Zach Wilson played against USC and the likes, right? So it's not like he didn't play against big time programs. So both did. The other guy didn't. And at least when you say with Carson Wentz, he played.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you can make the argument for small school, but at least he played. I don't care what school you went to. There's got to be you playing. And I think he's a one read and run guy right now. And I think he needs a lot of work. And until then, I'm going to say they reach, and they had the worst draft at any team. So
they went Trey Lance, offensive guard Aaron Banks at 48, Trey Sermon, running back Ohio State at 88, and then Ambry Thomas, cornerback 102. A lot of people have the Raiders, Rams, and Texans on their worst list, so I'll go to them real quick.
Well, the Rams didn't have a first-round pick, so at pick 25, they selected Jalen Ramsey. It's not. I mean, you can't grade them out and give them a bad grade.
The only thing I'll crush. So their first pick was 57, and that was Tutu Atwell. The only thing I'll crush with that is the same thing I said on draft night. That guy's smaller than me. He's 5 pounds skinnier than me and 2 inches shorter than me. So I'll crush that for that because I wouldn't draft me. So I don't know why they would draft me. Then you've got Ernest Jones, linebacker, Bobby Brown, defensive tackle. But to your point, they used one of those picks for Jalen Ramsey. So it's almost like a wash. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, when you get a bona fide superstar like Ramsey, it's like, okay, well, unless the rest of your draft is hideous, I can live with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What was the other? Raiders. Leatherwood, offensive tackle, big reach. Trevon Moehrig, this TCU safety. But we were talking, Tom, like if you would have swapped those two, if you would have gone safety at 17 and then Leatherwood at 43, then it's not even a question. It's fine.
They made up for it with that pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have it. They needed offensive line help. I'm not saying that's the deal breaker, but
then they went defensive ends, Malcolm Kuntz. They went Divine Diablo. I mean, it's an draft. I don't think it's horrible. And then Texans. Everyone's saying they had a bad draft, but what do you expect? I mean, the Texans didn't have any picks this year. I mean, I'll go to them real quick just to read it off. But
real quick though, how do you say that after 300 snaps?
Who?
About Lance. Like, I mean, I know he's got a big arm and all them things, and he can run. And you're going to tell me he's not one read? Okay, I mean, whatever. We'll disagree on that. I get he's versatile, athletic. Yeah, I'm not saying he's not smart, and I'm not saying that he can't be a damn good quarterback because nobody knows that. What I'm saying is they didn't have to move up to 3 to get him.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And like, listen, he could prove us wrong, but he's not a top 3 talent. He's not.
No.
Especially a top 3 talent that you traded all of those assets to go up and get.
Yeah, I mean, you're better off like taking Jones or Fields there. At least they like, at least Fields was like right there with Lawrence his whole career of 1A, 1B. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. At least you have that case for it. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying the kid can't play, and I understand your point too, Big Play Slay. Like, I'm not saying that none of them things are going to be factual, but it's like, did you have to go to 3 to get them? Did you have to give up everything you got to get them? But guess what? You never know. I mean, some of these guys are going to be busts and some of them are going to be able to play. It's like a 50% chance. So, like, with that being said, after 2 quarterbacks go, it's like, man, am I going one again?
It's tough because of all of the guys. And listen, nobody knows. Okay, it's all about how they adjust to that system and all that extra stuff. But for a team that was ready to go today, listen, Mac Jones isn't a top 10 talent in this draft, let alone top 3. So, like, I would have laughed at them if they took Mac Jones. I would have I didn't laugh at them when they took Trey Lance because I think Trey Lance is eventually going to be good. But for a team that everyone was talking about, they need somebody to come in today. That's not Trey Lance.
No, that's either Justin Fields or Mac Jones.
Yes.
I'll say again, like if you want to argue talent in this draft, like Justin Fields arguably has a track record of being more talented. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he's going to be able to play. I'm just saying that, he at least has a track record.
Why do you think he dropped, Tom? Why do you think he dropped?
Well, I think the school hurts him.
Yeah.
Leak reports out on guys like they did with Joker that cost guys money. So
it's just a shame because listen, I'm not going to say everyone's saying, oh, he's the Aaron Rodgers of this draft, where, people slept on him and he dropped. Listen, he could very well end up being that, but I just don't understand. I think sometimes teams and draft evaluators, they overthink it too much. They want to value, oh, he didn't play good in this game. They didn't play good in this game. Oh, he was disappointing in the national title game or against this team. There's certain things that this guy has that are intangibles. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's the school because I see it in the chat. Oh, Ohio State quarterbacks are never good.
I don't want to use the Ohio State thing against them, right?
No, because every guy is different.
I want to use from high school up. Like, this is what I'm trying to use to people. Like, I'm going to use, and I'm not going to ever be like Uncle Advocate for Justin Fields, right? But I'm in the argument of the go against Trey Lance. This guy has been 1A and 1B coming out of high school with Trevor Lawrence. It's been them 2 guys. Like, that's what people are like missing, right? Yeah. That's what it's been. So to me, it's like, why would I reach on Trey Lance? I would just stay where I'm at, right? Or get into get between 6 and 10 somewhere, right? On draft night where I don't have to maybe give up as much. So to me, they did themselves a disservice there by not taking a guy with at least a pedigree. So like Chicago, I don't know if they're going to hit or not hit. You know what I mean? But like outside of Kyle Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, I'm not huge on any of the quarterbacks.
No, and
Some could be better than others.
why couldn't they have done? I mean, I'll use this example just because we know it very well, and that's the Eagles. But like, why couldn't they have done what they did the year they traded up for Carson, where they did it in 2 separate trades, right? Like, why couldn't they trade it up to 6 and maybe started the draft at 6, and then maybe if they started to see, maybe a run of quarterbacks going, then go up and get your guy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But you didn't need to a month before the draft go up to 3.
No, if you were going up and it wasn't to 1 for Lawrence, you better make sure you're getting Zach Wilson then.
Yep.
Like that's just my opinion on it. Like, I mean, I'll argue this, and people won't agree with me. I think he has a better career than Trey Lance. I think Zach Wilson has a better career than Trey Lance.
The only reason why I disagree.
Nobody throws the ball better down the field than he does in this draft.
Is it fair to say I worry about that just because of the organizations they both went to? Like, I believe that.
No, because that's the caveat. That's the caveat. Joe Douglas is there.
Okay.
I trust Joe Douglas. This is the same guy's running the show there. He didn't draft Sam Darnold. You know what I mean? He wasn't a part of any of that stuff.
Okay.
Right? If anything, he was a part of Carson Wentz. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna take my chances on Joe having a better feel on how to build a football team. Because like I said, he went Vera Tucker second, right at guard, and already has left guard, left tackle of the future sitting there for Zach Wilson. And Elijah Moore went and got a skill position player for him too, right? Already is building through the trenches there. So I just think Zach Wilson, everybody talks about like upside and ceiling. Like he's a big, if not bigger of a ceiling than Trey Lance has.
Or let's have fun with this then. Then out of the first 5 quarterbacks taken, I'll write this down. I'll put the date on it.
Yeah, do it. You heard about Haskins before here on A2D Radio.
Damn right. So let's rank based off of career success 1 through 5. Okay. 5 quarterbacks. Who will be 1 on the list and who 2, 3, 4, 5?
I almost want to be like quick baitish. I almost want to be like quick baitish and get cute.
We love ratings.
Well, like I can't do that. I'm gonna say.
What were you gonna do? No, were you gonna say Wilson's gonna have a better career than Lawrence?
Yeah, I was gonna joke and say Wilson or Mac Jones because where Mac went.
Listen, you have an argument for Mac Jones just because of where he went. You have an argument there.
No, I'm gonna say Lawrence. Okay. Wilson. I'm gonna go by board there.
Okay. Chalk. Okay.
And then I'm gonna throw Jones in there at 3.
Fields, Lance.
I almost want to sit here and say Trey Lance going to fucking stink.
I won't get mad at you.
I almost want to spell right. Remember this. We'll roll the tape.
Breaking. Tom Arnone. ... Trey Lance stinks.
I don't know. I don't know. The other guys, like at least I'm like everybody in the world's been able to watch enough. You know what I mean? Like you can say you at least watch Kyle Wilson on TV a couple times if you're a degenerate and you watch late night football.
So for my top 5,
Kyle Trask might even be better than Trey Lance.
Who's better than Lance?
Kyle Trask might be better than Trey Lance.
Hey, listen, he's going to be sitting watching the GOAT for a couple of years.
All right.
He has no pressure on him. It's going to be the easiest job living in Tampa. I mean, God.
Pete Nation says Lawrence, Fields, Wilson, Lance, Jones. Okay. All right. I think Jones has a better situation. Could be wrong. Fields, I mean, are the Bears going to hit a quarterback though? I feel like after the transgressions that took place with the Mitchell Trubisky over Watson and why am I drawing a blank? There's one more.
Deshaun Watson and Pat Mahomes.
And Mahomes. Well, Jesus God. Watson and Mahomes. I feel like he can't be a hit. Like it's almost like the football gods are like, no, you're not going.
I think it's a different organization now, though. That's my one caveat. It's a different GM, and I know it's different. That was the John Fox era. So yeah, I know.
It's almost like I just feel like it's almost like you're
it's
not.
It's like an Eagles wide receiver thing. It's like you're gonna miss.
Doghouse yet. You're not out of the doghouse yet. You're gonna have to go back to this well in 3 or 4 more years, and then we'll let you out. You know what I mean? So, but I understand because talent-wise, Pete, like I said, they're 1A and 1B the whole time, right? And Zach Wilson, the reason he jumps like he does is because, one, he's mobile as shit, right? And nobody throwing the ball downfield had more success than Zach Wilson. So that's a huge thing for like NFL guys now, right? Like, and I think he can flat out spin it. You know what I mean? And that's why I like Zach Wilson. And it's the scary thing for Jets fans is like, shit, man. He looks like Sam Darnold. You know what I mean? He's like Sam Darnold's cousin. Fuck. Like if I'm a Jets fan.
So I'll put this. So for anyone who just joined us, Tom and I are writing it in stone. Yep. Our projections on who will have the best careers out of the first 5 quarterbacks taken. Tom's rankings.
Who's disrespecting Fields, Trav? I've just been telling you that they've been 1A, 1B their entire life.
Trav, you're going to be taking that back in a second when you hear mine. But Tom's rankings 1 through 5, he has Lawrence with the best career, followed by Wilson, Jones, Fields, and hashtag Trey Lance stinks at 5.
Yeah, I think Justin Fields, honestly, I think he's going to be able to play, though. That's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, I think there's 4 quarterbacks, and usually this doesn't happen, but I think there's 4 of these quarterbacks that are going to be able to play.
And then for me, I've got 1, Trevor Lawrence, 2, Mac Jones. Just off of that situation, not having to play right away. You know, I just think he's going to be really good there. I really do.
Who do you have 2?
Mac Jones.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. I've got Fields 3. I've got Wilson 4, and I've got Trey Lance 5.
All right. I mean, do you think Wilson won't be able to play?
No, I'm just worried about the Jets thing. Like, it's the same thing that you just talked about. I know it's a different GM. I know. It's just, I worry about the BYU kid going to New York. I worry about all of that. I worry about the ownership group panicking and overriding Joe Douglas.
Oh, the big lights. That's what Trevor Lawrence probably has a better possibility than success than anybody on where he's going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, honestly, where he's going is almost like you're staying at home. You're staying down south. Like, you're freaking adored down there. It's probably the best spot for you to go. When you talk about a kid having to go there. Now, remember something. You know, Rodgers came from a smaller school, not BYU, but, you know, West Coast school, and had to go to a fucking huge market in Green Bay. I don't care what anybody says. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right? So it's a huge market. And we don't know what's inside kids' heads, right? We don't know. We don't know how they deal with that pressure. But in terms of talent, he can flat out fucking play.
He can. Yes, he can.
And I like him. And I understand when people say, like, oh, I can see him having a better career than Trevor Lawrence. Like, I can see people saying that. You know, I laugh at it a little bit, but I see it. Hawk, thank you. Giants fans are pissed that Dallas and Eagles fans are saying they're going to sweep the division. Should be concerned.
Should we be concerned? What?
Should we be concerned about Giants fans are pissed, Dallas and Eagles?
You know what Giants fans should be concerned about? Their quarterback being able to play. Yeah,
I mean, I think he's the worst quarterback in his division.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I put Jalen Hurts above him just because I don't know enough.
Right? Yeah, we don't know if he stinks yet.
Yeah, I think you throw the ball better than him, which is amazing.
And the biggest thing why I think Fields can play, honestly. And as far as an organization, the Bears made the playoffs with Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, but is he going to start, Rye?
No, I don't think he's going to. You know what I think is going to happen this year? I think Andy Dalton's
going to quarterback room. It's fucking amazing.
Say that again.
So much money in their quarterback room. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, Foles.
Like, you just promised the guy a starting job and then drafted a quarterback. Like, they're in disarray because they don't know what to do because their jobs are on the line. It's like they're in like a weird place, and I don't know. Like, I don't know. They did the right thing per se, but
I think what's going to happen, Andy Dalton's going to play for 6 weeks. They're going to suck. And then Justin Fields is going to come in. He might not look good right away, but I think that's going to eventually end up being a good situation for both of them.
Yeah, I think there's 4 quarterbacks that are going to be able to play well early on if they have the opportunity to. And we know that 2 of them are definitely playing early on, if not 3 of them. You know, I mean, this Mac Jones beat out Cam Newton in New England. I don't know. Great decision maker. I mean, that right there, you can play day one. Saban is Belichick are like fucking cousins. You know what I mean? They're like brothers. They're out of the same. They're molded out of the same cloth, or whatever the fuck they say, right? Or molded out of the same clay, right? I mean, they coached before in Cleveland together, right? So like they're very similar, and can he beat him out because he's a better fucking decision maker than Cam is?
I think it's going to be kind of the same situation as the Bears, where Cam plays for the first handful of weeks. Either he sucks or he just gets hurt because it's Cam Newton. And then here comes Mac Jones. Mm-hmm. I could very well see that.
I can see that. I think it depends if they're winning or not, right? Like for both organizations, if you're losing, the other guy's coming in. If you're winning, you're gonna say status quo, right? Fair. Yep. What's the fact? If you're just joining us, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Make sure you're following us for all our content. Some premium content is going to be coming out soon. We're going to have some membership stuff for you guys right around the block here. Right around the block. Finishing touches on it. The video has been done for like 2 months that needed to be done. But we just never confirmed what we were doing. So we got some other things we're adding in there betting-wise for the family to win you some money too. So it'll be part of our subscription-based stuff. Extra stuff that you guys can sign up and get. It'll be starting at $9.99, and then we'll have, for the fans, if they want to do the $4.99, get some all their comments read, all that fun shit. So we're gonna have a lot of fun stuff coming up for you guys.
I would say the biggest concern, the reason why I have these two players at the bottom, it's not because I think they suck, but there's two guys from day one that I thought if there were two guys that should take a year off and kind of just sit and learn, it was Trey Lance and Wilson. They were the two. And unfortunately, they're the
You think Wilson needs a year to
I think the best case scenario for him was to go to the 49ers or a team that didn't need him right away. Yeah, I do. Now, I don't think he's going to stink, but again, I don't love the transition from BYU, opt out, New York, day one, boom, bang, here I am. I don't know. But again, I also have to remember it's a different era now. Like, how many people thought Justin Herbert shouldn't play right away, and he's freaking awesome? How many people thought Carson Wentz shouldn't play right away, and he was good for a couple years before it all went to hell? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like Zach Wilson. I think he can. I think he can make every throw at this level. I don't know how. I don't know what playing in the bright lights will do to him. I don't know that. I haven't sat down and talked to him. You know what I mean? And that's where the stuff we don't know. Yeah, Velasquez stinks, by the way. Already 1-0. Lorenzo Cain stole a homer in the first. And everybody's saying they're betting Rodgers to the Broncos. I know you had some things you wanted to read off to me, some headlines. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah. So
one last thing.
Yeah.
A+ draft for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'll continue to say it because the first round pick's a goddamn hit. It's a goddamn hit. And that makes it an A+ right there because he's gonna put the gold jacket on when it's all said and done. All right. You went and got 2 fucking winners from Bama. A+ draft. What up, Joe? Philly the podcast. It's What's Up, fam. I don't know why my mouse is not clicking now.
What's up, Joe?
Yep. Double click. Good times. Run, Jalen, run. Jalen runs better than NFC East Beast. Are you a Giants fan? I think you are because he runs better than runs better than Daniel Jones. He's going to fall over. Yeah, Mac Miller. Yeah, he does, I guess.
Is that a good thing? Hold on. I don't. Sorry, I got to see who Mac Miller is.
You don't know that, Pete, though. You don't know about it. Like, none of us know about it. Like, he's right about Wilson. Like, just because it's a tough place to play, we don't know. He might come out and be a star there. None of that shit might bother him. He might just be a gunslinger.
We don't know who Mac Miller is. I know who Mac Miller is now. I feel bad.
No?
I had to just double check. I didn't want to assume. Yeah, I guess there's a resemblance, I guess. I don't know.
Sampson, you don't know. I mean, the offensive Tua stinks could stink. So, if they do, then that could be a top 10 pick for us. And we could stink, and that could be a top 10 pick too. So there's a lot of things that are up in the air.
Who, other than DeVonta, Tom, and I'll ask you, fam, last question for Eagles. Other than DeVonta, who was your favorite draft pick by the Eagles? I was checking, Red Sand. I was checking.
Mine's Landon Dickerson, and I already told you why. You have to build a new culture. You have a young football coach, right? You have to create the new culture again that you had, say, 2017, right, per se, right? But even back in the Andy years, you have to create a culture and guys that know what it takes to win and guys that come from fucking like pro programs. And when you talk about a team captain and one of the best leaders they ever had, I mean, I love that pick. I love it. It just comes down to the health.
Mm-hmm. I'll go Gainwell. I'm not going to run around the room.
No, we're not Chuck, sir. We're not Chuck, sir here, but we already talked about Memphis product. Memphis has really spit out running backs recently. I think there's 3 picks that you can really like in this draft.
Yeah.
Minimum 3. I mean, you can say unknown about Milton because we just don't know.
The biggest concern one I have is McPherson.
Yeah,
that's the biggest one I have an issue with.
Yeah, he might not be able to cover me or you, right? So
no, name sucks. Guy can't play on the outside. Couldn't get on the field at Penn State.
Yeah, and when he did get on the field a tiny bit, and then transfer.
Yeah, he got the hell out of there. So what I wanted to ask you, Tom, because we really didn't get a chance to. We kind of talked about it, but you didn't really get a chance to talk about it on the air this weekend. What are your thoughts? What are your kind of gut feelings of what's going to come out of this Aaron Rodgers situation? Because I'll tell you what. 2020 and 2021 has been the kind of combined year for a lot of things. Like we always talk about like opt-out being like the buzzword of the last 2 years. Quarterback controversy might be the biggest kind of phrase out of it all. Because all these quarterbacks, it's like, oh, Carson did that? All right, let's do this.
Yeah, it's almost like if we don't get our way, we're out.
It's like they saw what Brady did, how he became GM down in Tampa, and he's like, well, I would like that, please.
Yeah, it's at the grass is green or somewhere else stuff. I mean, I think Rodgers tried to give him an FU this year for what they did last year to him. So, I mean, it is what it is. He's been there his whole life. I mean, if he wants out and he's tired of something, it is what it is. I mean, they took a quarterback in the first round last year on him. So, I mean, again, people say, well, he doesn't have weapons. I mean, he has one of the best receivers in football, so he has weapons. He has a good running game. So, it's not like there's nothing there for him, right? So, I'll say I disagree there. And Amari Rodgers in the 3rd round, at least they went wide receiver somewhere in the first 3 rounds for him. But again, I think it was a big fuck you for what they did to him last year, and of course he'll leak that right before the draft. To really give him an FU and make him scramble on what they think they want to go do. On
the 1-year anniversary of them humiliating him.
Yep. So, I mean, I have no problem with it. I mean, all the rest of the quarterbacks that complain and don't want to be somewhere, I think they're losers. But that's fine. That's the day. That's the day and age we live in.
So, do you think he's going to end up getting moved?
Yeah, like where's he going to go? I mean, they said they're not going to trade him, right? Like, we're not trading him anywhere.
Yeah.
I really think the Broncos are going to come in hot on this.
Well, like we talked about earlier when we were talking about guys who had like really good drafts, I put the Broncos up there. And if you put Aaron Rodgers to go along that defense, the running back core, the offensive line, obviously the weapons on the outside, Noah Fant, that's a really fun division now. Aaron Rodgers with all those weapons, Justin Herbert with the Chargers, and then Pat Mahomes. I mean, sorry, Raiders fans, but you don't have a shot.
Like, does he want to go and deal with that every year too? Right? I mean, do you want to play them twice a freaking year? So, like, but that's the team to me that's ready to win, just missing the quarterback, right? And any other really team that's like looking for one. Right, like people say, "Oh, the Eagles." I'll give you whatever the hell you wanted because he's automatically going to make us a playoff team. You know what I'm saying? Does he automatically make us a Super Bowl team? No, but he automatically would come here and make us a playoff team, no matter what we gave up, because we're giving up picks in the future. You know what I mean? So, like right now, if you added Aaron Rodgers in, you'd be like, "Okay, Eagles are a playoff team."
Yeah, and honestly,
what they are, like, you know what I mean? From that, I don't know. I can't tell you. But right there, they're a playoff team.
If we take value in that, suppose like all these quarterbacks have lists, like, oh, I want to go here, and they have a list of teams. 2 out of those 3 or 4 teams that he would have interested in going in was in the same division as Pat Mahomes, and that was Raiders and Broncos. So maybe he's not even worried about that. And the Broncos would definitely do it because they're like, well, damn, you know a cheat code to make us compete with Pat Mahomes? That's Aaron friggin' Rodgers. So they would do whatever it takes to get him.
But again, like, you know, if you're Green Bay and you get a haul back and you drafted Jordan Love, I mean, you have to then do it. You have to then take the haul, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have to. I mean, we've talked about this with the Texans before. Obviously, the Deshaun Watson thing went crazy, but they were saying the same thing there. Oh, we're not even going to answer any phone calls to go out, you know, and trade Deshaun Watson to any team. We're not going to do it. Well, everyone does have a price when it's all said and done. And if it comes down to it, or, you know, in a few months and he's not going to come back for you, well, you also have to make sure you get value for a guy he's the reigning MVP. Yeah, I know they're in uncharted territory. There's never been an MVP in the history of the NFL that got traded the next season. But, I mean, we're seeing it now. I mean, there's a new situation seems like every month with a new quarterback. I
mean, think about these deals real quick, right? Like, I'll give you 4 offers that I saw on like Denver Broncos on CBS Sports, right?
Okay.
Like
I haven't heard any of these, so this is good.
Right. Yeah, I'll give you 4 of them, okay? So offer 1 would be Drew Lock, a 2022 first rounder, a 2023 first rounder, a 2024 first rounder, a 2022 second rounder, and a 2023 third rounder.
That's a freaking haul. Yeah.
Done. You don't even have to give me Drew Lock, right?
No.
Cortland Sutton, 2022 first rounder, 2023 first rounder, 2024 first rounder, 2022 second rounder. Done.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Offensive lineman Graham Glasgow, right? 2022 first rounder, 2023 first rounder, 2024 first rounder, 2022 second rounder, 2023 second rounder. Sorry. So 3 firsts and 2 seconds. Done. Done. And I love him. And I love Rock. And I wouldn't trade him. But if he wants out and I'm getting these kind of hauls, where do I sign up? Offer 4, right? Right? Von Miller, right? All them first rounders I already said. 3 of them in 2022, 2023, 2024, 2022 second rounder, and a 2023 fifth rounder. Are you doing that one?
Yes. Yeah. Again, this is the same organization that drafted their heir apparent to Rodgers. They showed you how they felt about Aaron Rodgers.
They did the same thing with Brett Favre, right? And it worked out. And it worked out for him. So if you can get this back, which isn't what you got for Brett Favre, if you get this back, it's a home run hit for you if you believe Jordan Love is your guy of the future. Because now you have all these extra things to put around him and build out a really good football team. And you already have a young football team for the most part too. So, you know.
I'll keep saying it. And listen, there might be a 10%, 1%, 5% chance this ever happens. But I honestly think if there's any way to fix it, what I would do, I said it on draft night, I would send Jordan Love and some picks to the Falcons, and I would try to get Julio Jones. If you can sell Aaron Rodgers, okay, we're getting rid of, and everyone's saying, oh, he doesn't have a problem with Jordan Love. The person, he has a problem with them not telling him about drafting a quarterback or trading up for a quarterback. So if you say, okay, this quarterback that we were going to get to replace you, he's gone. We're going to bring back somebody that we can easily pair up with Devontae Adams, and who's also Julio effing Jones. And that could work for both parties. If you're able to fix it. You know what I'm saying? Like if this is Aaron Rodgers saying, well, damn, I'm willing to go home and play Jeopardy. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go home and host Jeopardy for 3 months out of the year and then go disappear for the rest of the year. Unless you actually start helping me, well, what better option is, hey, let's ship out the quarterback that we were going to replace you with and get us Julio Jones.
Yeah, and I think I agree with Bill. I think he's been a little bit of a baby about it because, like, their biggest weakness was on the defense side of the football, and they really have tried to go out and address it. And quarterback's best friend is the defense. They had a bad running game. They went out and addressed it. So, like, these lack of weapons and that conversation to me is sort of comical, right? Because they haven't lost because of their offense. In years past, they lost because of their defense. So they tried to upgrade. Now, the only question mark one is Jordan Love. But, you know, he doesn't have to play for 3 freaking years. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to play, period, if the guy continues to be an MVP. So you tell him that, like, hey, if we continue to have success, we're not moving you. And we would move him before we move you. You know what I mean? So, Anything can be repaired. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of like, fuck you back to you. And I get it. I get it on his end. But at the end of the day, you have a talented roster there that was just in another NFC title game, right? Like, they went out and addressed another need, which was corner again, when they've addressed it now 3 times recently in the draft.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know. They're trying to help their weaknesses. So, I mean, it is what it is.
It's a mess, though. It's a mess.
Yeah, not my mess. So, have fun with it.
Do you believe he would ever retire?
No.
I don't buy into that for 2 seconds.
No.
I think that's just him saying, "Hey, I don't need to." That screams more, "Hey, I'll opt out."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or I'll sit at home.
Yep, or I'll host Jeopardy.
He has too much of an ego to retire, though.
Oh, yeah, big time.
If he was coming off of a Super Bowl, then okay, that's one thing. But
Yep.
That's all I got for NFL. If you want to transition to Sixers and whatever mess we want to call this baseball team.
Yeah, I mean, the Sixers on a tough one. We'll get out of here in like 10 minutes. The Sixers are in a tough little stretch here, so we got to see how they can overcome it. It's going to say a lot, right? I mean, 6 games in like 7 days or something to start it with. So, you know, want to know now, can they, you know, tonight's a big one, because then you have a down day and then go to Houston and have an opportunity to really string a lot of wins in a row together.
Yep.
And try to secure this 1 seed, which is so important. So it starts with tonight. I mean, I assume everybody's playing, right? Nobody's out tonight. I didn't hear anything.
I mean, the injury report was clean last night, and nobody got hurt, from my understanding, last night. So everyone should be a go. If anyone's sitting out tonight, it would just be rest. You know what I'm saying? But I think everybody's good to go tonight.
Yeah, everybody's good to go. So I mean, let's see. They go from here, they go from there to Houston, and then back home versus Detroit. So I mean, you have a favorable little run here, and we know this because we know this part of their schedule was an easier one, but you were lumped in with a lot of games, you know, and a lot of travel, which they bitched about before. So
I'll give you a phrase which we've heard a lot in the past with a lot of different teams. It's a popular phrase on Twitter and in comment sections last night after the Sixers game, and that was, quote, "bad win." That was a bad win, Tom. Unacceptable performance. They were sleepwalking. Your reaction to that is?
Well, I respect the hell out of the people that are saying it. But I fucking 120% disagree. Like I couldn't disagree more with the bitching and moaning, and it really comes down to one player people bitch and moan about, and I get it. I totally understand it on the offensive side. Mm-hmm. It bothers me too, but defensively he's been phenomenal, and I can't run from him. I can't run from the charges late in that game. I can't run from some of them things either. So I'm never going to complain about a win. Can you critique wins? Can you have some concerns? Sure. But that's a scrappy Spurs team, right? Scrappy Spurs team, and you're able to. Okay, you gave up a lead in the game, but you still were able to win it in overtime, right? And win it in a tip in by that guy who drives us all crazy offensively. So like, there's no bad wins. There's critique wins, right? Mm-hmm. But there's no such thing as bad wins. And I hate that thing, and I hate when people say it, because if you lose last night and the Nets lose, then you're pissed off. So you say, okay, I'm grateful for getting out of here with a W. I better see some of these things get cleaned up tomorrow night in Chicago. Right? That's what you do. That's what you do as a coach, as a player, etc. You don't whine about W's.
Also, the 3 games before last night, we boat race teams. The games were over at the end of the third quarter. Okay. Listen, I understand we as Philadelphia fans and sports fans, we want 100% effort no matter who you're playing. But after 3 blowout victories, and then you're completely clean on the injury report for the Sixers, and then you see DeMar DeRozan out. You see all these other guys out for San Antonio. Don't you think they were going to coast a little bit, especially when they got off to that big lead? They coasted.
Yeah, they've done that. Teams do that in the NBA.
Yes.
And then you got to turn it on and get out of there with a win, and they did.
Yes.
Things are a lot better with W's when it's sloppy than they are with losses.
And it showed me more, honestly. Like, listen, I don't want to go into an overtime game. I don't want to have to come down to a buzzer beater to stop us going from double overtime.
Yeah, with a back-to-back coming up. Yep.
Yeah, like I'm not happy about that. But you know what? It showed me at least they were coasting for 2.5 quarters towards the end of that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they did in that overtime? They turned it on.
Yeah.
The ability to, because I will continue to say until I'm blue in the face, they couldn't do that with the old coach.
No, they were losing that game last night.
They never had the ability to coast, then turn it back on like the light switch. It's like once the lights are off, the power's shut down.
Absolutely right.
So they've been able to do that in the past. I'm not happy when they blow leads. I'm not happy when it's close games when it doesn't need to.
Get out. JT Homer. 2 runs. Wow.
Love it.
I think that went to Center City. He smoked it. As soon as he hit it, I said, go on. The left fielder didn't move.
And the other thing I'll add on right here, Tom, because this is another one of those, I need you to tell me to calm down. Like, I need you to back me off the edge of the cliff here. I'm not done with this team, this Eagles. I'm sorry. I might be done with the Eagles team, but that's for another day. I'm not done with this Phillies team. It's way too soon for that.
Yeah, of course.
It's the same friggin' story. It's like we come in every season and we talk about maybe it's going to be different, right? It's going to be different.
This should be different, though.
It should be. Yes. And it's not. It's not. It's peak mediocrity with a side of just
money.
Yeah, it's just atrocious. Like, you never feel safe in a ball game. When I'm watching it, I'm constantly waiting for something to go wrong. And like, am I wrong for that? But like,
no, that's what it's been. That's what it's been. And when something happens like it does last night with Reese, you don't make the play on the line drive, right? It's off your glove, and then you compound the issue by like quitting on the play and woe is me. And what the baseball gods did is say, you know what? That 3-run homer I hit off the top of the fence. That's not a 3-run homer. And that's why I argued on everybody on Twitter last night about that not being a homer. Like, people were like, we got robbed. No, we didn't. That's what you get for being a pussy, like you were. Because that was like a pussy play. That was woe is me. Oh, I should have called that. Dude, there's still a play to be made.
It can't happen.
Get back into the pitcher or call timeout. What are you doing?
It's a play that just can't happen. That's what that is. And I didn't get a chance before we went live to look at the lineup. I'm looking at it here.
Red, it's not about that, Red. It's not about in Hoskins' defense like he made. I'm not about that. I don't care that the ball went off his glove. It's about compounding that. It's about that little thing, and I can't have
mentally checked out.
Yeah, I can't
have
that.
Mentally check out.
That's literally
flip out in the dugout. Flip out, throw stuff.
Yeah.
So he's not playing tonight, right?
Who?
Hoskins.
I don't know. Is he?
I didn't get a chance to look. I mean, there was a lineup card right here saying that it was Joyce, Miller, Realmuto, Gregorius, Bohm, Maton, Herrera, Quinn, Velasquez.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, good. Because if he was playing tonight, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
You have to bench him after that. I know this is like 2021 and it's not like the old school baseball, but I mean, Jimmy Rollins was getting benched for not running the first base.
Yeah. That's
what Reese Hoskins did last night was worse than that.
Yeah. Really is. It truly is. It's a disgrace to the game. And the baseball guys don't respect that shit.
No, it's karma. It's karma 101. So I know this division sucks. I know there's a lot of teams that are getting off to real slow starts. So season's not done. Nobody's trying to say that. But my God, can you at least fool me for a month and make me think it's different? Just for a month. You can end up sucking in July. But for right now, can we at least show some damn progression? Because the defense, worse. Bullpen, still the same. And I know I know Archie Bradley's, he's hurt. So I know we're not 100%. The back end of the rotation sucks. Half the lineup, non-existent right now. So, I want to get excited about Harper playing well, and Baum looks like he's starting to figure things out again. And JT Realmuto in runners in scoring position. He answered our prayer from a couple weeks ago, and he's starting to be really good with that. So, they're getting better at certain things, but it's the same old Phillies. You take one step forward and 2 steps back.
Yeah, I mean, I think just, hey, can you guys win 3 games in a row?
Win a damn series. Win a damn series on the road, please.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even win a series at home against the Mets. You coughed that one away. So it's the same old until they go on a stretch where they prove otherwise. It's the same old Phillies.
It's sad. It's sad to me.
I can't talk you off any ledges besides it's early, but it's the same old look. All right. Well, listen, it was a fun show.
Yes, sir.
Fun show. We thank you guys all for tuning in and driving us with tons of fucking comments. And it was fun to talk draft as much as we did. And we'll get the segue and, towards the season as this goes and see what kind of team we have. And we'll go from there.
Yes, sir.
But let's go Phils. I mean, lead off double after the 2-run homer. Thank you, Vinny. We really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Sixers a big one tonight because they all are down the stretch, and especially a back-to-back, which is always tough in the NBA. So I hope they win. I hope people complain. Because then it's going to get really hot in here. Hot in here.
Yeah, and like you said, Tom, the last thing I'll say, it's, we transition away from – it's a tough year for me now because I put all the trade machines away. I put all the simulations. They go into storage. So I got to prepare for the long nap now.
Yep, long nap. It's going to be prediction time soon. Prediction time.
Yep.
But – fun show, and we thank the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. If you need any help, please call 856-651-8117. That's the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. Family, if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. It's our guy, Rob Lutman. He'll get you connected to the right place. For Ryan Brodo, I'm Tom Arnone. For everybody out there that joined us, I'll say it again, we love you. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. We're everywhere you get your podcast as well, so you can find us everywhere. And I told you, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, we're live. And wherever you download your podcast at, please download, please like, please subscribe. Stay tuned tonight. No Sports Hounds night, but Flight Zone coming up at 9:30. They're talking Eagles as well. I'm sure they're going to talk Phillies and Sixers too. So stay tuned. We love you all. We out.